Okay, so Andra, can you tell me if you see the presentation?
Yes, everything good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today for this presentation of Prague, a city that I love a lot. I visited it 5 years ago, but before I tell you the story, I'm going to introduce myself really quickly. It's just going to take 1 minute for the people who don't know me yet. So basically, my name is Saeed. I am originally from Lebanon, but I've been living in Bordeaux for about 3 years now in Bordeaux, France. Originally I studied to be an interior designer back in 2006 in Lebanon, and then I went to Paris in 2009 where I did my master's, and then I came back to Lebanon and I worked in interior design for about 5 years. And then in 2018 I came back to Bordeaux where I studied digital marketing. And now I work in a huge museum called Cité du Vin, which is like a huge wine museum in Bordeaux. And at the same time, I work with Informa Giovani Italia, that is a touristic website, Italian tourist website. So I do guided tours in Italian for all Italian tourists who come to Bordeaux. So basically, this is a bit about everything I've done in my life since 2006. About my passions, I have many things that I love in my life. Of course, traveling is one of them. I traveled to lots of countries until now. Solo traveling is also very important for me. I love to discuss and to share stories with everyone. At the end, I'm going to give you all my contacts. If anyone wants to discuss any subject, I'm very open to discussing subjects, to getting to know people, to share stories and to hear stories from them. It's something I love doing a lot. In addition to these pictures here in Lebanon, I was the organizer of the couchsurfing community in Lebanon for 2 years, where I used to organize lots of events like language exchange, hangouts, parties, cultural exchange, and all these types of very beautiful events that made me meet people from all around the world. And when I came to Bordeaux, I joined the Internations community. So in addition to reading, these are like my main passions in life. And because I love storytelling and sharing my stories and everything to explore life through many ways, I decided to launch my YouTube channel. And here there are some videos, some thumbnails of videos that I published lately. On my YouTube channel, I discuss and share lots of things connected to life, to motivation, to travels. Because for me, these are like my 3 philosophies in life, that we are all explorers. It's our goal to keep exploring in however ways possible. Through storytelling, reading, and to create and to collect as many beautiful moments. It's a quote from the movie 5 to 7, by the way. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Life is a collection of beautiful moments. So these are my philosophies in life, if you want. So enough about me, and now we are going to go to Prague. Here it is. So basically, just tell you a little bit about my experience with Prague. I traveled to Prague back in 2015. So I only had 3 days there, so I didn't have too much time to see everything. So many of the things you are going to see in this presentation are stuff that I researched on my own because I really love the city, but they are not things that I really saw. The thing is that just before going to Prague, I had spent a whole month in Italy doing a workshop. And during this workshop, we were partying every night. So when I arrived to Prague, I was so exhausted. I loved the city, but the things that I was so tired, I couldn't really see everything that needs to be seen. But I can tell you, I really enjoyed the city, and it is on my bucket list, on the top of my bucket list for when all this lockdown is over and I can go visit it again to really get to know Prague as, get to know everything that Prague has to offer. So here I'm just going to give you some very fast, basic information before moving into more interesting stuff. So Prague is like the 15th largest city in the European Union. It has an area of about 5,000 square meters. There's a river that you see here in the map, the river that passes, that divides Prague into 2 parts. It's called, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. Some people told me it's Vltava, others told me it's Vltava. I think people from Prague now, when we have a discussion, you can tell me the right pronunciation. But anyway, it's a river that divides Prague into the lesser town and the new town, basically. It has about 1.2 million inhabitants. And in Prague, or in the Czech Republic, it's a Czech crown that is used as a currency. So here I want to tell you a bit of history, because when I was researching Prague, this is information I got like only a few weeks ago when I was preparing for this presentation. You know, Prague is a city that has lots of legends surrounding it. And this is one of the most amazing things that I found out. This is why I love this city. I love legends, old stories, and all these kinds of stuff. And I found out that there are many legends on how, or stories on how Prague was created, let's say. So one of the legends, the one that I found more interesting, is about a lady called, also I'm not sure about the pronunciation, called Libush, who is like the lady you see here in the middle. It is said that she was the daughter of Kruk, who was like the first Duke of Prague. And it is said that Libush, who married this guy called Premisl, had some special powers, actually, some visionary powers. And basically, at one time, he stood on a hill above the Vltava River, and she looked and she said, on this land, there is going to be a great city that's going to have great prosperity in the future. So she ordered that a town and a castle be built. And this is the legend of how Prague was created. There are many other legends, but this is one of the stories that I read, and I thought it was very interesting to share with you just a bit of history. So this is about Libush. So now we are done with history, and we are gonna move to Prague in itself. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I traveled to many countries in my life, you know, and I visited many cities, but Prague has a special place in my heart, actually. I still remember all the walks I had, everything experienced, and if I even lived in Paris for 3 years. But if you want to compare apple to an apple, like Paris to Prague, I would always definitely go for Prague. You know, it's like Paris is a good city, but Prague has this charm that I feel no other city has. And because for me, it's like a fairy tale city, as I wrote here, through its cathedrals, the Gothic architecture, the Baroque architecture, the Art Nouveau, cobblestone streets. It's like you are moving in a wonderland, actually. You see all these beautiful pictures. Prague has a lot to offer. And in this presentation, my goal is not to show you everything that you can do in Prague, because this will take hours and we don't have hours, just to show you a sample of what Prague has to offer, and to give you to encourage you to visit this city that I love a lot. So let's begin. So first of all, I'm gonna talk a bit about why visit Prague. What are the reasons that would encourage someone to visit this city? First of all, we are going to talk a bit about, just tell you one thing, you know, on these pictures, I took them from the Unsplash website. It's a website where you can take pictures for free, but for photographers who are really professional, so all their names, I wrote them here. It's like just to give credit for all the photographers who took these pictures. So anyway, as I was telling you, Prague is a city like for all architecture lovers, for all architects, or also any person who loves art. Prague is a place to be. You will be very well served there, because it can be compared to Paris by its beauty. It has some very preserved architecture, and what I like a lot is the mix of different architectural styles. So as you see, you have the old buildings, you have the painted buildings, the Art Nouveau, you have the Gothic cathedrals, the Baroque cathedrals, you have some Cubism. It is a city where when you are walking the right to the left, you have different architectural styles, and for me, this gives it makes Prague richer and richer. It is so amazing. For me, it's very important to preserve architecture. It's part of the history of a city, and Prague is a city that really has a great message, a great history to give for all architecture lovers. In addition to all this, as I told you, walking around Prague is really a great thing to do. You know, for me, for example, whenever I visit any city in the world, I always make sure to go out at night after midnight, because in my opinion, this is the best way to get to know a city, to walk at night, to see it when with all the lights, to try to see what the city has, what stories the city has to tell the people who passed before us on this city. And Prague, walking around it's like walking around a fairy tale. And as I said before, you saw in the title of this presentation, Prague is called like the city of the 100 spires or the 100 towers, as you see in these pictures to the right. So when you are walking, make sure to enjoy all the painted houses, all the different architecture, and also look up at the sky and see all the towers, see the skyline of Prague. I can assure you are going to have an amazing walk. You are going to feel yourself walking around a wonderland and enjoying yourself a lot. Just this is something that I felt that I'm trying to communicate with you in a way, because walking around Prague is really walking around a fairy tale city. In addition to all this, because we are talking about walking around, and especially at night, Prague is relatively a safe city. I remember when I was there in 2015, we went out many times at night until 2 or 3 in the morning. We saw groups of people, boys, girls, walking around. For me, I felt very safe. And of course, we should always have this common sense, for all tourists, because there will always be pickpockets and stuff like this. This is common sense. We should always take care of our belongings. But other than this, I can assure you that in Prague, you can move, you can walk, and you can feel safe while walking around the city. So now that we talked a bit about the architecture, the cultural part, and walking around, how it is really a fairy tale, I'm going to move it to something a bit also more interesting, depending on the style of people, which is food and beer. And this is something that people really like talking about, and I know I like it. So when I was in Prague, I can tell you, I ate some really delicious recipes. And I did some research, and some people told me also, it seems that when Prague used to be part of the communist rule during the Soviet Union, it seems that all restaurants were forced, or it was a regulation that all restaurants should offer the same recipes for the same price and the same dishes. So basically, I was told that there was no variety and no creativity. But now in the new Prague, if you want to say, everyone is trying to compensate on that period. So basically in Prague, I can tell you, you can visit restaurants who are going to eat some delicious food. Everyone is really trying to invent, innovate, to create something new in order to give tourists new things to try and to enjoy. And many restaurants are also using like the old, let's say the old recipes from their grandparents and adding some new ingredients to them in order to make them more enjoyable for the generations nowadays. So this is why Prague is a city where I can tell you are going to enjoy eating if you are a food lover. There are lots of restaurants, but as I do in all my virtual tours, as I am a terrible cook, I don't really know how to cook, and I don't really know about ingredients. I cannot tell you about the ingredients of Prague food. All I can tell you is that it's so delicious, because for me, it's enough. From the moment it's delicious, I don't really care what ingredients are inside. So. But I can tell you that you are going to enjoy a lot if you are a food lover in Prague. In addition to all this, Prague is very well known for its beer. There are lots of types of beer, lots of very known marks of beer that are produced in Prague. And beer in Prague is really like cheap. Like sometimes even drinking beer in Prague is cheaper than drinking water sometimes. I myself, I'm not really a beer drinker, a beer fan. I prefer wine or whiskey, but in Prague, I really enjoy drinking beer. I think it's the culture of the city that made me, or that encouraged me to drinking beer, and I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, so Prague is, the beer in Prague is a must try if you are a beer fan. In addition to the food and to the beer restaurants, what I liked the most during my stay in Prague are the street food. Basically, you have many squares in Prague. I'm going to show you one of them a bit later, called the Old Town Square, where you have many markets, and you have these kiosks, these stands, where you are going, as you see in the pictures, where you can buy or you can eat different types of food just by walking around. And it's something that is so delicious. I mean, I wish I can just share with you the smell that I still remember until today. Imagine you are walking, you have the smell of all these foods. I mean, the best thing you can do is just to grab one of them. As I told you, I have no idea what the ingredients are. All I know is that it's something very delicious. Grab a sandwich, grab anything you want, enjoy the delicious taste, enjoy the good smell, and also walk with the sandwich while enjoying the beautiful architecture of Prague. This is an experience on its own. So it's a must do actually, because for me, I'm a person that doesn't really, I mean, I like to go to restaurants, but I prefer seafood much more than restaurants. And here I'm going to show you a small video of 2 minutes to show you more about the street food of Prague. This video on YouTube. Give me 1 second to check it out. Street food, this is it. This way you can get more, you can see more about what I'm talking about concerning the street food.
How can I help you?
Beer, yeah.
Beer. Ein?
Ja, naja,
Two beer.
Coca-Cola.
Okay. In welchem Form?
Alright, while you wait in line, come on. I'm waiting.
No, without chocolate. Okay, okay.
I'm going to stop it here. It was really just to give you an idea of the Prague street food I was telling you about. So just by seeing these pictures, these videos, just imagine the smell, how delicious they are. So it's something that must be done when you visit Prague. So this is about the food and the beer in the city. In addition to all this, so here, I forgot about the slide actually. So here I just did a bit of research. It seems that in Prague, it is also, if you are a beer lover, there's something called Beer Bike. It's a website, you can go to it, you can search it on Google, and they give you a whole tour of Prague for 1 hour or 2 hours on this beer bike that can have up to 15 people approximately, and you can drink unlimited beer. So this is something I found out just when I was preparing for this presentation. And in addition to all this, I found something online, I wrote it down here, that it seems that many people in Prague love the taste of foam. So basically, when we drink beer, we prefer to have more beer than foam. But it seems that many people prefer to have more foam than beer, because it seems that in order to really experience the quality of the beer, it's important to taste the sweet taste of the foam and the bitter flavor of the beer. This is something I never tried, but I wrote it down because I found it online. I thought perhaps it could be a nice fact to talk about. And also there's something called the beer etiquette in Prague. You should always use the beer coaster. It's like the things that you put your glass on. And when you toast, when you say cheers, it's something that's present in many countries now. Also, I saw it in Italy. You have to look into the other person in the eyes. Otherwise, it is said it's 7 years of bad sex, as they say. So this was for the food and beer in Prague. In addition to all this, in Prague, you can basically go to a beer spa. And this is something I didn't do because I didn't have enough time actually. And it's on my bucket list when I go to Prague next time. So basically, you can go to a beer spa, as you see in the pictures here. It's something very nice, nice to do, and you can drink unlimited beer. Of course, you don't drink the beer from your tub; it's from an independent barrel. And it is said that this, when you do a beer spa, it's good for the skin, for health, for metabolism, for the immune system. It seems that it has many health benefits. Should it have health benefits or not? In my opinion, it's a really good experience to at least try once when you're in Prague. Now I want to talk a bit because for all people who love partying, Prague is also a very well-known party city. I partied there for one night. I can tell you from personal experience, I enjoyed partying a lot. I partied a lot around Europe and here in France also because I've been living in France for 3 years. But one of the best parties I had was the one I had in Prague. It has a very vibrant nightlife, a very beautiful nightlife, and you can find anything that is convenient for you, whatever your style is, your style of music. There are lots of bars, lots of pubs where you can go for to party until the morning or just to have a drink. You have it all. Prague is a city where you really can enjoy your time. In addition to all this, there is this nightclub in Prague that I heard about when I was there, but also I didn't go there to party. That's called Karlovy Lazny, if I'm pronouncing it right, which is one of Europe's, it is Europe's biggest nightclubs. And basically it has like 5 floors and every floor has different dance floors and every dance floor has different music types. So just to show you how vibrant nightlife in Prague is. So for all nightlife lovers, Prague is a place to be. I know I enjoyed a lot and I would come back again for sure. In addition to all this concerning nightlife, if you really love nightlife and hanging out, having some drinks, I encourage you a lot to go on a pub crawl in Prague. The thing is that when I was in a hostel in Prague actually, and I went on a pub crawl. This is where I met lots of other solo travelers and travelers for a very cheap price. I really can't remember how much I paid, but the thing is that we paid, yeah, it wasn't very expensive. They took us for 5 or 6 pubs where we drank, we played beer pong, we had many games together. And at the end, at 3 in the morning, we went to a nightclub. And at 4 in the morning, I remember with other solo travelers, we were walking through Prague, going back to the hostel. We arrived, we saw a KFC that was open in front of us at 4 in the morning. And because of everything we drank, we were so hungry. So we went to KFC. So really, I can tell you, I had a night to remember when I was in Prague, one of my best nights. So I highly encourage you to, if you love nightlife, to go on a pub crawl when you are in Prague. You will surely enjoy and meet lots of amazing people along the way. So in addition to food, to culture, to architecture, to nightlife, some basic information. Prague has a very reliable transport system. Basically, there are the metros, the buses, the tram. But Prague, for me, as I told you, it's a very nice city walk in. So, but unless you don't want to walk or you're tired, you can rely on the public transportation. The prices are not expensive and they can get you basically anywhere you want. So this is something you can, that can encourage people who don't like to walk a lot to go to Prague, because I went to many other cities where public transportation was not good enough and it's very hard to go from a place to another. But Prague is a city where you can rely on the public transportation. In addition to all this, one of the reasons to visit Prague is the green spaces and the parks. You know, Prague has some huge parks, some huge gardens. And so for all nature lovers, for all the people who like to spend time in nature under a tree, you are going to be well served in Prague. There are lots of beautiful green spaces and parks. So should it be, if you want to go take a book and read it under a tree, you want to work out in the morning, you want to go for a run, Prague has lots of parks where you can do this, or perhaps you just want to sit and meditate. You can do this in Prague. It's a city that has lots of green spaces, because I know myself, whenever I travel in a city, I like to sit sometimes in a green space just to watch people passing by, to see the life in the city. And in Prague, I visited many parks. I enjoyed them a lot. So for all nature lovers, Prague is a place that you can really enjoy very amazing parks. In addition to all this, this is something I didn't do actually, but I researched it, and my sisters told me about it. Is that surrounding Prague, there are lots of amazing towns that can be visited and that are worth the visit. I never visited any of them, but my sisters, when they went to Prague a year after me, so in 2016, they visited a town called Český Krumlov, and this is the one that you see in the pictures here, to the upper left and to the bottom, to the upper right and to the bottom left. Basically, as you see, it's a very amazing town, and this is one of many other towns that are worth visiting, and many other castles. This is why I wrote castles and towns, because if you like castles, there are castles in Prague, but also surrounding it, there are many places to visit, should it be towns or castles. So if you have few more days to spend your vacation, let's say you spend 3 days in Prague or 4 days, if you have 2 or 3 more days, I highly encourage you to go visit the surroundings of Prague, because there are some amazing towns, amazing castles, and most of them are reachable by trains. You can just take a train from Prague and you can arrive to the towns or to the castles. My sisters did it and they enjoyed it a lot. I didn't do it, but it's also on my bucket list when I go back next time. So this is for the surrounding areas of Prague. In addition to all this, one particular thing that I found in Prague is the street art. I myself am a big fan of street art, and I felt that Prague is a graffiti-oriented city in a way. We can find street art and graffitis in many places on many walls. And for me, I like it a lot because I feel it's as if it's a liberty of expression, and this is something we lack, in my opinion, in like, for example, in France or other Western countries. And this is something I really loved about Prague. And all the graffitis have stories to tell about them. I'm not going to tell you everything about it because I found many graffitis in Prague. And also, if you are interested in street art, I highly encourage you to take a guided tour called Alternative Prague Tour. You can search it online. And basically, they will give you tours of all the street arts, because for every street art, every graffiti or wall you will see, there's a beautiful story behind it. It's nice to know the story behind them. And here I put the picture of the most known one, I guess, which is Lenin's wall, which is in the heart of Prague, where you will find writings, paintings. So as I researched it, I found out that this wall, back in the 1980s, people began drawing many stuff on it concerning the Beatles. And then in 1988, like young people in Prague began putting complaints against the government, against the regime. And now this wall became, like, if you want, a symbol for love and peace. So on this wall, everything you are going to find, writings or stories or paintings, all talk about love and peace. It's a wall of love and peace, John Lennon's wall in the heart of Prague. So it's a really important place to visit. And I told you, if you like street art, there are many other places to visit, and I highly recommend you take the Alternative Prague Tour to know more about them. And the last thing about why to visit Prague, perhaps some of you might like, some of you might not like, depending on the person, but for me, I love it a lot, are the legends surrounding the city. I took many guided tours. I took 2 guided tours actually when I was in Prague, and in one of them they told us some legends. I'm gonna tell you about them at the end of this presentation. I chose 2 of them to tell you about them. But Prague is a city, as I told you, it's a fairy tale surrounded by legends, by ghost stories. So while walking at night, you can feel this charm. I know there's something beautiful about it, and this is something for me that encourages me to visit the city again and again. So so now what we're going to do is that I'm going to go to another part where I'm going to tell you what to visit in Prague. But as I told you in the beginning, in this presentation, I'm only giving you a sample of what you can visit because Prague has a lot to offer. So I just chose a few landmarks, let's say, to talk about, but otherwise you can search, you can take guided tours, and there are lots of other things that you can visit in Prague. So one of the beautiful things, first of all, to visit, of course, is Prague Old Town Square. Well, as the name says it, it's Old Town Square. It's like one of the main squares of Prague, where wherever you are going to have directly to pass through the square. And this square usually changes from morning to night. In the morning, usually you are going to see lots of people, especially in front of this astronomical clock that you see here. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. Taking pictures, recording videos in front of this clock. So lots of tourists everywhere. And at night, this square is going to transform into something completely different. You are going to see concerts, people playing music, some really like the ambience is completely different at night. It's so magical to walk around it at night, hear the music, and also at the same time with all the buildings that are lit, it is so magical. And it is in this square actually where I found some of the markets where I ate some of the street food. So this is Prague's old town square. And now, as I told you, in this old town square, there is this astronomical clock that you see, here and here and here in all the pictures. Basically, it is said to be one of the oldest astronomical clocks in the world. It was built and installed back in 1410. So it is really worth the visit to take pictures. You have the 12 apostles who pass every hour, if I remember right, with the figure of death that passes behind them. But anyway, it's really beautiful scene to see, to take pictures of. However, the story behind it is a bit weird. There's a legend behind it. I'm going to tell you about it. During the guided tour that I took, they told me about this legend, but then I asked some people from Prague. They told me it's a lie. But anyway, we can't really know. But the story goes as follows: the craftsman, the person who created this clock at the time, when he created the clock, it was like a very unique and special object. So the counselors of Prague actually, they didn't want him to create another clock similar in another city. So what they did is that they blinded him. So basically, I know what they did to his eyes. They blinded him so that he cannot do another clock like this one. And the legend continues to say that before he dies, because he wanted to take revenge, he went to the clock because he still remembered how to go there, and he destroyed the whole mechanism, and the clock didn't work anymore. And it is said that it took about 200 years repair it. So it wasn't until the 17th century that the clock was working again. So this is a legend that I heard from the guide who was doing the guided tour for us. Is it true or not? I cannot tell you. Some people say it's true, some people say it's not. But anyway, as I told you, Prague is the city of legends. So it's good to leave some secrets unknown. It's not important to really know the truth of everything. In addition to all this, of course, Prague has lots of amazing bridges, and one of the most known ones is Charles Bridge that was built in 1357. It is like about 250 meters long. It is an amazing place where you can look at the Vltava River, you can look at the whole city, and at night it is really so magical. During the day, as you see the picture here to the right, to the bottom right, there are lots of culture, art. You have people drawing, people playing music. This is what I liked a lot, you know, this art and this culture side of Prague that you can find everywhere. So it's really amazing. And in addition to all this, it's very rare to see the bridge empty like in the pictures. So if you are really looking to take a good picture of the bridge, and to enjoy the bridge, I recommend that you really come early in the morning, like at 6 in the morning at sunrise. Otherwise, the bridge is going to be filled with people. And here I want to tell you a small story that also I heard from the guide who gave us a tour, that King Charles wanted to build a bridge that will stand for years and years and even hundreds of years. So he asked astrologers to find the exact moment when he should build the bridge, to put the first stone. And basically, it is said that the astrologer studied the stars and told him that, I wrote it down here, that he should build it on the 9th of June, 1357, at 5:31 a.m. He should put the first stone, because as they saw that at this exact moment, the stars are aligned in a way to protect the bridge for hundreds of years to come. And this is where the bridge, and this was the time when the first stone of the bridge was put. This is a story I heard. Is it correct or not? As I told you, Prague is a city of legends. In addition to all this, we also have the Prague Castle on the other side of the bridge, which is a UNESCO World Heritage. And according to the Guinness records, Prague Castle is like the biggest in the world. And it's not only comprised of a castle. There are inside it, like there's the castle, there's a huge cathedral, there are many gardens. If you want to visit it, I highly recommend that you take a guided tour. I took a guided tour because with a guide, it's very nice to know the history of this castle. The guide took us inside the gardens, inside restricted areas of the castle, inside the cathedral, because it took us like 5 or 6 hours to visit everything. It's a huge castle, one of the biggest or the biggest in the world. So it is really worth the visit to know more about the history of this amazing city. And I really encourage you to take a guided tour if you decide to visit it. In addition to all these places to visit, here I want to talk about a statue that I saw when taking guided tour also that really affected me because I thought the story was really interesting. So here are two statues that say of Franz Kafka. So who was Franz Kafka? Basically, he was a German-speaking novelist who was born in Prague in 1883, was very well known in Prague, and he wrote many novels. However, his novels were a bit special because I never read any of his novels. I'm buying some of them this week because I'm really interested in them. But from what I read, his novels were had lots of anxiety inside them. His philosophy was a bit pessimistic, and at the same time, the characters in his novels always had, let's say, absurd situations and difficult situations that you can't really imagine. Anyway, this was the philosophy of Franz Kafka, and this is why, because he was very well known, he has two statues in Prague. This was the first one that you see here, built in 2003. And you see, actually, it was built because they took it from a paragraph of one of the novels. I have it here. I'm going to write it down for you, in which Franz Kafka says, "He leapt onto the shoulders of my acquaintance, and by digging my fists into his back, I urge him into a trot." So basically, this is why here you see someone who is on the shoulders of someone's acquaintance. They took it from one of his novels. I don't know more about the story. And at the same time, the other statue here is the statue of the face of Franz Kafka. That is a moving monument also, and it's like a technical marvel. So I think it belongs to the history of Prague. So really, to get to know the city, it's important to see these statues of this known novelist. In addition to all this, I just found some fun stuff when I was walking around Prague, so I thought I put them here in the presentation. Basically, here it's a sculpture whose name is, let me tell you the name, David Cerny, who did many statues like what you see here. This one is called Man Hanging Out, the hanging man actually. So when you are walking in the street of Prague, you are gonna look up and see him just hanging like this. I don't know the real story behind it, but as I found online, basically the sculpture David Cerny did this statue about intellectualism, the 20th century, whatever that means. I don't have any other information to give it to you, but my point of these slides show you that in Prague, wherever you go, you are going to be amazed and surprised by something new. You are going to see something weird, something you are not going to see in other cities. This is my purpose of showing you all these things. In addition to this sculpture, David Cerny also did other stuff, like here the faceless baby statues in a park called the Kampa Park. So also, I don't have an explanation, but for me, I love to see a city with such different sculptures. It gives more charm to the city, more, it's a city of unknown stuff, of stories, and each of us can create his or her own story. And this is what I love about Prague. In addition to all this, if you want to see, to have a very beautiful view of all this amazing city, one of the places you can go is St. Nicholas Bell Tower that was built in 1755, and in the past it used to be one of the fire watch towers. So basically it used to be used also to protect the city. It is 65 meters high, and you have about 250 steps to climb to arrive to the highest point the top. And you see, as you can see here in the pictures, it is worth going 215 steps because you are going to enjoy this amazing view of Prague, and especially seeing all these beautiful rooftops. Another place where you can have a great view of Prague also is the Petrine Tower. I just noticed that I should have put another picture of it. It's not very visible. It's the one you see here in the picture to the right. It looks like an Eiffel Tower, and yeah, it's like a small copy of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Basically, this Petrine Tower was built in 1891, and in order the lookout tower actually, in order to arrive to the top, you have to climb 299 steps. But from there, just look at this picture to the left and see how amazing, how gorgeous it is. So from there, when you climb these 299 steps, you are going to see the Charles Bridge, the Vltava River, the Prague Castle, and on a clear day, when the sky is really good, you can see even farther and farther than Prague to the towns that are even outside to the surroundings of Prague. So it's really, if you go to Prague on a clear day, a beautiful sunny day, it is worth to climb 299 steps to enjoy this magnificent view. In addition to all this, to speak a bit more of culture, Prague, you know, in order to discover the history of every city, you have to visit the museums to know more about the city. Prague has lots of museums that talk about different subjects that you can visit. But as I told you in this presentation, I'm only showing you a sample of what Prague has to offer. So I'm going to be talking about the main museum of Prague, which is Prague's National Museum, that was built back in 1818. So inside this museum, you have huge number of artifacts that tell the story of the city, of the country, and if you look on the inside, you are going to be, just before looking at the artifact, just look at the interior decoration. You will be amazed by the amazing interior. Actually, it's like teleporting into a whole new world. So it's a place that is really worth visiting to get to know the story of this beautiful country and this amazing city. In addition, you can buy the tickets online beforehand. So this is Prague's National Museum. In addition to all this, one of the places that I highly recommend that you also visit is the Teen Church, or also they call it Before Teen Church. To be honest, I don't know why is this name, but anyway, this church, you are going to be marveled by, or cathedral even, let's say, you are going to be marveled by its architecture, and with its two towers that are called Adam and Eve. Basically, this church overlooks the old town square. You see here on this picture, you see the astronomical clock. So basically, what's nice about it is that you have this old town square and all these buildings all around it, and you have this church that's going up. It's really nice, something to visit actually. And the thing is that what I encourage you to do, to visit the whole church from the outside, enjoy its architecture, and then go inside and be amazed by the Baroque interior. So this is what I like about Prague. When I was telling before that there are different, it's a mix of architecture present at the same place. So you see these painting buildings, and you see just behind them the Baroque church, and on the other side you have a Gothic cathedral. All these different architectural styles present at the same place. So the Before Teen Church is really a place to visit. And especially if you are interested in architecture, you are going to be amazed by how beautiful it is and how amazing the architecture is in this city. So so basically, and here I just put a slide because it is true that you can go to many towers to see the Prague from the rooftops, but also just to show you that Prague has lots of bars and restaurants on rooftops. So what you can do is literally to go, have lunch, have a drink, and enjoy the amazing view towards Prague. And here I'm going to show you a video, because I told you a bit about some of the monuments that you have to visit in Prague. And here I'm going to show you a video of 2 or 3 minutes that goes a bit more into details of the 5 most amazing Prague monuments. So let's see it together.
Prague is often called an open-air museum of architecture, and that's no exaggeration. The city's historic core reflects a millennium of architectural expression. Much of it is now protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Looming high above the Vltava River's left bank stands Prague Castle. Built by Provincial princes in the 9th century, it grew into the largest ancient castle complex in the world as Czech rulers, kings and Roman emperors each made their own addition. Today it's home to the Czech president and is Prague's most popular tourist attraction. At its heart is St. Vitus Cathedral. Although construction began in 1344, it took nearly 600 years before the cathedral had its belated consecration in 1929. Make your way to the top of the bell tower for stunning views of the city. Head to the Old Town Square, pay your respects at the Church of Our Lady Before Teen. Completed in the 15th century, its Gothic twin towers and distinctive spires can be seen from all over Prague. Scope the square and you'll see the astronomical clock. Created in the 15th century by Mikuláš of Kadania and improved by Master Hanush, it's a work of mechanical, artistic and astronomical kitsch of the highest order. Every hour between 9 AM and 9 PM, the figure of death rings a bell and kick-starts a parade of the 12 apostles, who draw crowds of onlookers in the square below. Prague may have more than its fair share of historical architecture, but it's also happy to take a chance on contemporary styles as well. Introducing Ginger and Fred. Designed by architect Frank Gehry as an ode to legendary dancing duo Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, this controversial design polarises the locals, but has become one of the city's more popular modern attractions.
So this is it for Prague Monuments. As you saw in this Lonely Planet video, they say that the legend of the craftsman of the clock that was blinded is not true, it's a lie. But as I told you, it's a legend, so we don't really know what happened. So this was a sample of the places that you can visit when you are in Prague. Here I'm gonna talk a bit, just one slide about my personal trip to Prague, because I told you I traveled there. So just tell you, don't the quality of the pictures at the time, I was not planning to creating a blog, and I didn't have a good phone, so this these are the best quality pictures I could have. But just tell you that I stayed in a hostel called Check-In Hostel, the one you see to the pictures right here. It was so amazing. Whenever I solo travel, I always stay in hostels, like in rooms with 8 or 10 beds. It's something I love doing. And this is how I meet other solo travelers to enjoy the city with them. And these solo travelers are the people you see in the other pictures. So this picture here with the beer is when we were visiting the Prague Castle with the guided tour. Here, the beer pong is actually when we went to the pub crawl. We enjoyed the pub crawl a lot, and we played beer pong with many people. It was so amazing. And actually in Prague, I did this, I know what you call it, you know, this massage where you have the fish that eat your leg. I know something, you know what I mean. I don't know the name for it, but it was the first time I did it. I didn't do it again another time, but it was a great experience for me for 10-15 minutes. And yeah, just to show you, and this was my last night in Prague, where we ate some delicious food, and then the next day I left the city. For me, it was really an amazing trip, and I'm planning to do it again soon, just after the lockdown hopefully ends. And now we arrive to the last part of my presentation, where, as I promised you, I'm gonna tell you about 2 legends that I heard of Prague. So let's begin. So basically, these legends have many versions. So there are lots of legends in Prague, and every legend has a different versions. So I heard many versions of one single legend. I'm gonna tell you one of them, and then you can research and find out more if you are interested. So here, when I was doing a guided tour, there's a church called the St. James Church, and it's a legend of the arm of the jewel thief. The story says, so basically inside the church, when you go inside, you are going to see this thing, which is a hand, a cut hand of a human being. So the guy told us that they tested it, DNA and stuff, and it proved that it is really the hand of a human being that is hanged in the church. So the story and the legend says that one day in the past, a thief came inside the church and wanted to steal jewelry. So he saw the statue of the Virgin Mary, and the statue had a necklace of, a jewelry necklace around the neck. So when he went to grab the necklace, the legend says that the statue moved, and like the Virgin Mary grabbed his hand, and he couldn't let go anymore. And a few hours later, he was still like this. He couldn't let go. A priest came inside and saw him. He tried to let him break free, but he couldn't do anything. So the priest had only one solution for the thief to break free. He cut his hand. And it is said that when his hand was cut, the statue of the Virgin Mary came back to its original position. And from that time, they hanged the hand of the thief on the ceiling of this church. So this is the legend. Is it correct? Is it not? It's a legend. The second legend is a legend of Charles Bridge, a pact with the devil. And basically, Charles Bridge, if you look at it, if you type on Google like Charles Bridge legends, you will find hundreds of legends surrounding this bridge. One of them is that when the bridge was to be built, the architect was very worried that he couldn't make good plans, to build a really strong bridge as the king wanted. So he was very stressed and worried about it. And one night, the devil comes to the architect and gives him a proposal. He tells him, I can give you the plans to build a very huge and very strong bridge, but in what I want in return is that the first soul of any being that passes on the bridge, I'm going to take it. So it's like the devil wants to take the soul of the first being that crosses the bridge. So the architect had an idea in mind. He accepted the deal with the devil and got the plans, and the bridge was built. And the day of the opening of the bridge, the architect had an idea in mind because he didn't want the devil to take any human soul. He decided to put like a cow or an animal to pass through the bridge actually, so that the devil could take the soul of this animal, so that he doesn't take the soul of any human being. And the devil knew what the architect is trying to do. So what the devil did is that he took the shape of the architect and went to the architect's wife who was pregnant and told her, meet me at the bridge in 1 hour. And so basically the story ends by saying that the architect's wife who was pregnant was the first person to pass on the bridge, and the devil took her soul and killed her with her baby because she was pregnant. And it's also said in the legend that many times when people were passing through the bridge, they used to hear coughs of a little baby because it was the baby of the architect who was not born. And one day when someone heard a cough, he said, bless you. And since that day, no more coughs were heard. So this is the legend, one of the legends of Charles Bridge, a pact with the devil. So, and just tell you, if you want to know more, on my website, actually, wanderersfootsteps.com, I published a whole article called Prague Legends and Tales of the Night, where I wrote about many legends of Prague. I can give you the link later if you want to check it out. In addition to all this, on my YouTube channel, I also publish many videos about legends. And lately, I published a video about another legends of Prague, which is called the Legend of the Mad Barber. It's called Will You Be the One Who Lifts the Curse? So there are many legends. If you want to check it out, I will give you the links on YouTube and website. There are many other legends if you are interested in this story. So basically, guys, here we arrived to the end of our presentation. I still have a video to show you just before ending. But just to end everything, I want to tell you that Prague is really a city that will leave you speechless. That when you leave Prague, you will have something from Prague inside you all the time. You will either keep talking about it, you will keep thinking about it, you will encourage your friends to go visit it, and you will surely want to visit it another time, as I want to do so myself, because it's a city that I loved and it's my bucket list to visit it a second, a third, and a fourth time even. enjoy all the architecture, all the food, the beer, the nice people. There are things I didn't talk about. There are always concerts, always events, always exhibitions happening, always new stuff happening. So it's a very vibrant city. Enjoy it to the maximum, and yeah, I encourage you really to visit it and to make Prague your next destination. Before I show you the last video, just tell you that stay in touch. Because as I told you, I really like to discuss, to share stories, and to talk with people. I'm going to send you all this information later by message to all attendees after the event. If you want to contact me on WhatsApp, on my Instagram channel, you want to talk about travels, about any subjects of life, I am open to it. So let us stay in touch. I will send you all the information. And also, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, my website, and if you like my content and would like to subscribe, it would be a big pleasure for me. So for now, I'm going to show you the last video of Prague, and then we can move to the Q&A. And here it is. And here it is. 1 second. Let me stop.